Hello everyone. Crowley starts school on September 8th with virtual learning for all students. Now we're excited about being able to provide this virtual learning experience for all of our students. And we're here today with Mr. Nicholas Keith. He's our Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and he's here to give you an overview of how virtual learning will work and how it will look different than it did in the spring. Again, we're so excited about providing this opportunity. We know that you can't wait. We can't wait to see you and to engage with you online with our virtual learning. So, Mr. Keith, talk to us a little bit about how virtual learning will look this fall.
Thank you, Dr. McFarland. So a few things to keep in mind is that this fall is definitely not the spring. So one thing that we know, in the spring we had emergency learning when we had to close down for COVID.
Right.
And so we did a lot of self-paced learning for students.
Exactly.
And then we moved into the summer and we learned from the spring. And during our summer learning opportunities, we had more face-to-face via Zoom for our teachers and our students. And we got really positive feedback from the community on that. And so then moving into the fall, we're really putting together all of the lessons that we learned from the spring and the summer to put together what we believe is a really quality virtual learning opportunity. So a few things that come with that is that students will have a mix of live and independent instruction. So that means there will be times where they are working face-to-face via Zoom with their teacher, and then other times where they're working independently at their own pace.
Okay.
At the elementary level, we've been able to set up our schedule so that parents have a choice of a morning block for live instruction or an afternoon block, whichever one works better with their schedule.
Okay.
We have regular intervention and office hours for students who need additional support. We have social and emotional learning support for students. We have flexibility in our schedule for students who need support for special education, dyslexia, 504, and gifted and talented. And then, of course, we know it's important to have blocks of offline time for students throughout the day.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I know we really work really hard at making sure kids have the experience they need in a virtual environment. You know, we want to make sure that our kids get everything that they need in that environment. So definitely good to hear that. Also, I know we have talked a lot about live learning, independent learning, offline learning. So talk to us about how that will actually work and what parents can expect from both independent, live, and virtual learning or offline learning.
So really, when you think of those three words, really form the core of our virtual learning experience.
Yeah.
Live, independent, offline. And so let's start with live. So live instruction is the closest you can get in a virtual setting to actual classroom instruction. Okay. So for live, a student is on a Zoom call with their teacher and other students, so they're receiving that face-to-face instruction via Zoom. And it's really that real-time teacher interaction. So the teacher can present a lesson, the students can ask questions, the teacher can check on students to make sure they're understanding, and they can provide additional help. And a lot of times we also see live being called synchronous instruction. So if you see that word being tossed around, it's the same thing, live and synchronous.
So teacher is present, kids are really interacting with their classmates and all in the live.
Exactly. We think it's really important that students have a social experience during virtual learning because we know that they need those connections.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
And then if you shift to independent, so independent is still learning. And what it is it may be teachers pre-recording video lessons for students. It may be students working completely away from the computer on independent assignments, or it may be them using one of our self-paced software programs. For example, we have a math program called Dreambox that's used in kindergarten through 8th grade. And what it does is it looks at a student's current ability level and it adjusts to match where they are. And then as a student improves and learns more, the software increases the difficulty as well.
Gotcha. So with independent learning, can students engage in independent learning at any time? Is it like the middle of the night, early morning, late evening? Do they have flexibility with that independent learning?
They absolutely do. So when we look at a sample schedule for an elementary or a secondary student, which you'll see in one of our upcoming videos, you'll see there are blocks of independent time in the schedule, but students don't have to complete the independent work during that time, just needs to be completed sometime during the day.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. So we know that also virtual learning will require each student to have a device. And we know how critical it is for each student to actually have a device. In the spring, we were able to provide at least one device per household. But this school year, we are committed to making sure that every student gets a device so that they can use in real time. And so talk to us a little bit about that and how we will address the issue of students who may not have devices right now.
So one thing we're committed to is providing access to every student in Crowley ISD. So like you mentioned, we were able to provide one device per household in the spring. We're pleased to say that we can now provide one device per student in Crowley ISD for the fall. And so that device distribution starts on August 24th, and parents can go to our website to sign up and indicate that they need a device that they'll then be able to pick up at their home campus.
Well, no doubt, and we know that's going to be definitely important, and we're definitely encouraging parents to, as soon as that come out, to go ahead and sign up so that we can make sure our students have the device, that they're able to log on. You know, and sometimes, in some cases, a student may have their own device, or parents may just need a hotspot or internet connection. Of course, our goal is to make sure that every student in the district is connected so they can participate in this virtual learning. So thanks, Mr. Keith, for the information today. And you know, we hope that parents recognize and that parents understand that we're working really hard to make sure that the virtual learning experience is has the highest quality possible, and that kids get what they need in that virtual environment. Now, be sure to watch our videos, the other videos that include a day in the life of an elementary and secondary student, and how to use tools like Seesaw, Peer Deck, and more. We want to make sure, parents, that you're equipped to truly support your child at home, children that'll be independently working. We want to make sure you understand what it is that you need as well. We think that this virtual learning experience will be high quality and awesome, and we're happy to be able to provide it in Crowley ISD.